Hi, it's Natasha.
And KC.
And we are the co-hosts of
WokeNFree.
Thank you for tuning in to our 66th episode of WokeNFree. If you've been tuning in every week for WokeNFree Wednesday, you know that WokeNFree is all about being real and honest with each other and you. We talk about everything and anything important to us, to you, the world, and nothing is off the table. In this episode, we're talking all about whether love is only transactional or if it can work out a different way. But before we dive deep into this subject, we have a couple of questions to ask you. First, have you subscribed to WokeNFree on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio? In fact, WokeNFree is on 22 plus platforms. So if you want to know all the platforms we're on, you've got to go to WokeNFree.com and you can subscribe away. Next, have you shared an episode? If not, please do it on social media, share it from the website. Again, go to WokeNFree.com and you can share away. Next, have you hollered at us on social media? If not, always feel free to find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at WokeNFree. Again, all our social media handles on the website. See where I'm going with this, guys? Then lastly, have you reviewed our shows? If not, feel free to pick the platform of choice that you want. Maybe you want to review us on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube, or any other platform we're on. Go to WokeNFree.com, pick your platforms of choice, and review away.
Each week we like to share a little bit about us before we dive into the topic for the episode. Last week we shared what was our favorite weather. This week we're sharing, would we rather get a surprise or a gift chosen for us?
So someone has holidays on the mind.
Speak for yourself, lady.
Lady, okay, sir. For me, I'm a Virgo. Guys, WokeNFree Nation, I love planning everything from what I'm gonna wear to what I'm doing in the next hour. So I'm not really a fan of surprises. I actually prefer selected gift lists that I can share it via email. How about you?
Via email, wow.
Yes.
I would say that mine's changed over time. When I was younger, I think I liked getting surprises. That was really fun. But now I'd say a list is a lot better, because then you know what to expect and you get what you want, no complaining.
Word. Shout out to Marsha. Our very own Santa. So with that, I think we've riveted the WokeNFree Nation, and we're able to start the show with the first question, which is, if you guys are a fan of the Facebook watch show, The Red Table, shout out to Will Smith, the Smith family, Jada, her daughter, her mom, they have this amazing show called The Red Table. If you haven't watched, you guys are like under a rock. Get out of the rock and go and watch the show. And on the new season, recently they had an episode where Jada's husband, Will Smith, joins, and they really dive deep into their relationship. And one of the things they talk about is how love can be transactional in nature. And people will love you if you do XYZ, and people will also love you if you don't do XYZ, right? And I thought it was a very interesting conversation that I thought we needed to definitely bring to the WokeNFree Nation. So, I really want to know, is Will Smith right? Is love really just a transaction between people, or is there such a thing as unconditional love, or love without transaction?
Well, it depends on the people we're talking about. Are we talking about between significant others? Mm-hmm. Because then I think we do have to talk about the idea of conditional versus unconditional love. And according to the Power of Oneness, conditional love is a polarized emotion, meaning it has an opposite emotion. Mm-hmm. Hatred is the opposite of love. Loving someone conditionally means we tend to want them to look, act, and think in ways that fit our expectations. Mm-hmm. It's very, selfish of us. Mm-hmm. If it focuses on control, I feel this conditional love is fueled by transactions, because we want certain things in return, mm-hmm. and we expect certain things out of them. So if you're in, a conditional love relationship, that, I think, would make it more transactional. Unconditional love, though, is neutral and has no opposite polarity. It comes from within, and we all have it. It means committing to expressing respect, kindness, and cooperation to everyone and everything in our environment. It goes beyond just your partner. No, it's not just aimed at that one person. It's kind of like everything, with the universe, basically. I think most people are conditionally loving their partners, though, because many have to, quantify why they love them, and they can't just say, I love you the way you are, like that Bruno Mars song.
Oh, gosh.
He explained it. That would be more of unconditional love, just loving somebody for who they are and not for specific things that you want them to be and want them to do.
Yeah. So it's interesting. When I think about this subject, as a child, I definitely believed in the idea of unconditional love, that you could just love someone without needing anything in return, and just you would think your parents unconditionally loved you, or if you found the love of your life, it would be unconditional love. But in theory, I think it's a beautiful concept, but in reality, I think all relationships have some type of transaction that's taking place, because kind of like what you're saying, people have needs out of relationships, and so those needs turn into transactions. And people don't just love for love's sake, because are you going to love someone who's beating the shit out of you, or are you going to love someone who's abusing you, or are you going to love someone who's violating your boundaries, and you're just going to keep loving them because, what are you, like real life Jesus? No. People have boundaries, people have limitations. So ultimately, I don't know if unconditional love really exists, but I did come across some interesting information. I just need to say this because who has a website called realitysandwich.com? Amazing.
That's tasty.
Love it, guys. Check it out, WokeNFree.com. So the writer on this article on realitysandwich.com writes, nearly a half a century ago, the Christian apologist C.S. Lewis wrote a book called The Four Loves. He carved up the terrain of this subject into 4 quarters based on the words the ancient Greeks used for love, equated with eros, I think that's how you say that, or sexual love, family love, friendship, and agape, or unconditional love. And this makes sense up to a point. Ancient Greek, unlike today's English, didn't have to make one single word to cover everything, from the highest sentiments imaginable to just plain old lust. So even the Greek delineation of 4 loves is perhaps as arbitrary as those of any other language. And the author went on to believe that they believe that love can be divided into 2 major kinds, transactional love and unconditional love. Much of the suffering we experience comes from our failure to tell the 2 apart. And the author continues to say the transactional love is based on bargains, things in reciprocation, and keeping inner accounts. Practically everything we call love falls under this category. And the problem is that we fail to recognize this fact and sometimes refuse to acknowledge it. And you can read more if you just, again, read and go to WokeNFree.com. You can click on the link and read what the author has to say. Very interesting article, but I tend to agree with the author. I think that in practicality, unconditional love would result in abuse and suffering because you would be loving past points to protect yourself, and I don't know if that's neither healthy nor necessary.
That depends on the relationship, though.
You can abuse in relationships,
yeah,
you can abuse in friendship, you can abuse in parent-child.
But what type of abuse we're talking about? If we're talking about serious physical and emotional abuse, that's not not everybody's doing that to their partner. That's not
everyone's doing it. But what I'm saying is the idea of unconditional love
you could actually
opens it up to that, though, right? Because if you're saying that you're supposed to say
if it exists, though,
only if it exists. If you go under that guise, then a parent, if you say I have to love my parent no matter what, if they rape you, if they steal from you, you're still loving them. See, you could have abuse in every type of relationship. That's why I don't think unconditional love is actually appropriate.
The only thing is, you can love somebody, but that doesn't mean you have to live with them. That doesn't mean you have to like them.
What are you loving if you can't have a relationship with them?
You love their the idea.
Existence?
Yeah, the idea of them and that they can get better, stuff like that.
Like they're a fictional book?
No, but you can improve them. Like there's something, like they're clay that you can mold.
Like a rag doll.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, hello.
No, but I'm just saying, you can love somebody without being with them. So you think the
idea of unconditional love is a reality that's actually practiced?
No, yeah, sometimes it is. Just
obviously not from his perspective, guys. Only in theory. We're talking only theory here.
No, there's definitely, and most of those people in long distance relationships, they gotta have some type of unconditional love. They don't even know what their partner's doing. They're just hoping for the best.
Foul, it's not even funny.
You know it's true, though.
Are you even taking this conversation seriously?
This is serious stuff. Seriously serious.
Oh, okay. I see where you're going with this. Okay,
No.
cool.
All right, if you say so.
Okay, so in your life, who has unconditionally loved you?
Who's unconditionally loved me?
Yeah.
Well, your parents are supposed to do that.
Okay, we're not going anywhere with this questioning. Exactly.
I'm just saying that some people do give unconditional love.
Just no one you know or you are able to offer.
No, I had. I think I had like a pen pal when I was younger.
That unconditionally loved you?
I don't know.
That
I mean,
you
it was
don't
from a
speak to
distance.
now.
From a distance, so it must have been
What
unconditional
about
love.
dogs? You think animals, maybe pets, can unconditionally?
No, not now. I get into that later. They're one species that never does that. They're They're the worst betrayers of that. They don't have the capability.
As a child, I actually believed in unconditional love, and as an adult, I would say, given how people have treated me and how I've seen other people get treated, I don't know if it exists in reality, because I think Will Smith is right. I think that people love with certain things in mind. If you give me gifts, if you say the right things, if you do I will love you. And the minute that you don't, and or if the minute you break deal breakers, I no longer love you. To me, then it doesn't seem like it's a reality. Or if it is, it's a very, very few amount of people who are able to execute it.
Well, probably the monks. They know how to practice that.
Because they don't have any wants from people. So,
they respect everything and care for it equally.
If you have no want for anything, then yeah, you could love something because you don't want anything out of it. But if you want something... They respect and
care for it equally, so I guess that would be... That's one way. How can you get your needs out of a relationship without it becoming transactional in nature?
Again, I don't see how you can differentiate. If you need something out of a relationship, then that to me lends to... You gotta give something. Yeah, right? It becomes a transaction. If I need to be respected, then thus I need to give respect. If I need to be motivated, then that thus means I need to motivate. So it seems, it's not for tat.
Yeah, like, but it doesn't have to be the same way. Meaning,
it doesn't have to be the same way, no.
Yeah, you might just pay somebody to motivate you.
You could, yeah.
You could pay somebody to coach you.
Yeah, absolutely. But in a relationship, if you're looking for both parties, I would assume, even if it comes down to, even if you're not like in a monogamous relation, but even just on like casual dating, I want sex. I want, money. People have wants. How do you...
Well, if they want a good time.
A very good time.
No, not that good. No, not that good.
Happy ending time.
No, they're not going to a massage parlor.
Excuse you. Neither are you. Neither are you.
They're not going to some, strange place where they do strange things.
That you have nothing to know about.
They're going to professional masseuse.
Not you. Not anytime
No, professional masseuse. They're really professional.
Good for you.
And good for you, too. They come to your home. They bring their own table.
You do realize we're having our show now.
I'm telling you how, and I'm trying to tell you how it's unconditional love.
So you think masseuses are able to give unconditional love, Khalil?
Well, some of them can, yeah.
Oh,
I'm not talking about to their clients, but I'm saying it in their relationships. They understand that even better.
Jesus, no one's taking this seriously now. Good job, guys.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. A very good time.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, so if love is only transactional, which I think you are agreeing to without saying so, in nature.
I don't know where you get that from.
I wonder, is that a bad thing?
I mean, I guess it only will really work if the actual transactions are being weighted like the same. They got to be weighted differently. So... Mm-hmm. Like, if somebody buys roses, you can't say the other partner's got to do the same thing just to get love back. That's what I feel.
Oh, interesting. So you're saying it's fine as long as the actions, equal for, of importance to what each other need in the relationship.
Well, actually, yeah.
Right?
Actually, I mean, they need to be weighted the same. Yeah, they need to be kind of like... You doing an action, it doesn't matter how grand or large, it's an action on its own. That's just it.
So kind of like
it shows that you care about the person.
You do tech stuff, and then in return, I'll feed you good food. But you wouldn't expect for me to have to give you tech stuff in return, kind of.
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Both partners don't gotta, or both people involved in this don't have to supply the same thing to the relationship.
But does it, like, at what point can it get weird, like in the sugar daddy scenario where it's just like, I'll spend time with you and you just smile or have a happy ending or like
that's their relationship.
They
that's
have
what
to
it's
decide
formed
what
on.
the-
That's
okay.
not living love though. That's a whole different thing. That's definitely not love. Nobody would argue that. That's not about
I
love.
don't know. I mean,
That's
listen,
about spending
listen,
time.
WokeNFree Nation, if any of you participate in
Nope.
that scenario and you want to talk about your experience, I would be fascinated to hear that, to be
No
honest.
one's gonna tell you that, but in their right mind, that's love. That's all about getting cash and then getting. Yep.
Okay. I would say I don't think it's bad if love ultimately is more on the transactional side and not really on the unconditional side. I don't think it's a bad thing because I think that so much of life is transactional. You wake up, you decide to hear a cat, you decide to, buy a car, you build a family. Like everything we're doing is some type of like transaction or action. So why would love be any different? Exactly.
I guess that's the way to think of it. Well, what's the impact of operating under love as a transactional type system?
So ultimately, I think it makes us all a bit more cynical as people. And then I would also say if you really thought about it, it probably would make our relationships seem a bit more fragile than we would want them to be. And people would probably feel like they have a lot less safety with their relationships because, again, if you ultimately think about it, if you do X or don't do X, then that person you love might no longer be there. And that could be quite unsettling. And also, the other side of the coin, because there's always two sides or three sides to a story, is that, if you know the rules of the game, then you can master the game for which you're playing, thus be woken free. So I think if people understand that, like, that's what love is, then, get your ducks in a row and play the game.
But what if somebody gets, like, terminally ill and they can't provide actions in return for actions given by their significant other? What happens then? They're just screwed then?
Hopefully they prepaid.
Oh, all right. So if they paid it forward far enough, then they're okay, you're saying?
Well, see, then that becomes... So that's an interesting
that's where
question.
It comes, that's where
so
you
when
test.
someone is... Yeah, so when someone's terminally ill, and then the other person really has to do more in the relationship
And
than the
getting
other
nothing in
person
return.
can... Then that begs the question: are you doing that because of past actions? Are you doing that because you unconditionally love them?
Well, it's definitely because of past actions.
I think it's
not random,
yeah.
Because then you could just go to anybody in a hospital and just take care of them.
Yeah.
And people don't do that for some reason.
Maybe that's where unconditional love can live, but I mean that's a very gloomy. Be like, when you're dying, that's what I'll unconditionally.
But then
you.
that makes it seem maybe you had unconditional love all along if you were willing to go without the transaction.
But it only got tested though.
Yeah, now you only got to see it once they're gone.
Yeah,
see how that's funny though?
That's interesting.
That's the
a
true
good point,
test
though
to know if it with
that's
what
a
you're
hell
there
of a
for.
test, Khalil.
Well, it's also a ride or die moment. I mean, there's other moments too. We can go into if like some sort of like
kidnapping.
I don't know, a crime. Yeah, if a crime's occurring, do you side with your partner and help them get away, or do you side with the arm of the law, the long arm of the law?
Not something to talk about on a podcast for sure.
If you're going to be Bonnie and Clyde in that stuff all the way home, laughing straight to the bank about it, you got to think about that.
Sir. Okay, sir. Let's not get out of control, guys.
But it's definitely a question at hand, though.
That's interesting, and that's a really good point. So yes, so maybe maybe unconditional love does exist. I mean, I thought so as for many years, and then I realized I looked around at everyone and was like, this is fascinating. Because literally it's like do this or people don't, they're here, they drop out, and it's like interesting. But
well, everybody's got their deal breakers. Everybody.
Except for Jada and Will, they say that they imploded their relationship and they actually have no deal breakers, that they're ride or die and they'll always be together forever. So I hope because they made that public statement on Facebook that they
stay true to it.
Yeah, I hope they can, because it would be nice to see a power couple stand the test of time, since so many in Hollywood seem to really struggle with that. But
what if Snickerdoodle forgot to take out the trash and do the dishes? Would that be the end of the love?
No, you just beat them. I'm totally kidding, guys.
Oh.
We, WokeNFree Nation, No, violence against people, especially your partner in life, is not okay. But you will have to have a conversation with your snickerdoodle and really let out your frustration about not having home, activities take place, because that's not cool, snickerdoodle.
Oh.
Who's calling them each other that?
I think that's the N word now.
Lies and fairy tales you tell.
That's what they're saying in this brand spanking new music that's been coming out.
Brand spanking. What are you, born in 1932? Youngsters are saying it.
Yeah, it's the hip thing to do.
Guys, you would think that he wasn't a millennial, right? Like he.
I don't consider myself a millennial.
Good for you, because you still are.
No, I could be a Gen X too. Depends.
And I
Depends
could be an alien.
who's defining it.
Yes, indeed.
All right, young one.
All right, Padawan.
No. Older one is the correct term.
17 days, guys. 17 days. So ultimately, do you agree with love being transactional, more transactional than not? Even though you did just identify a case where unconditional love can exist and does exist for people.
Yeah, I mean, I guess love is usually more transactional, but sometimes it's unconditional, and there are a group of people, just like I was describing earlier, that definitely have this type of relationship where it's unconditional love, where a person will give even when a partner can't give as much back. But generally, people want, they want something in return, right? They want the best bang for their buck when they're in this relationship, so there's going to have to be some transactions between them if you look at it in terms of that. There really is going to have to be a back and forth. It can't just be one-sided. I don't know how that would be sustainable, even over the long term. I don't know how that would work otherwise.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that it's okay as long as, both parties in the relationship understand, again, the rules of engagement of their relationship, and that they are getting what they need out of relationships. I think every relationship we have requires energy, blood, sweat, and tears. And so when we're committing to these things, we've got to make sure that we're committing to something that we want and that we're getting what we want out of it. And you don't have to give an exact, one for one, in the sense of he gives this, I need to give the exact thing. You give what you want to give and what you're good at in the relationship, and the other person hopefully does the same. But ultimately, it's a give and a take, and it's not one-sided, which I think really is important to talk about in friendships and love, romantic relationships, and even parent-kid relationship, guys. A lot of these parents out here have these crazy thinking where they're like, well, I brought you here and I'll take you out. Or, I'm going to get old and you're taking care of me. And, and it's like, well, I don't know about you, but I didn't declare myself a slave today. So
yeah,
just because you're old doesn't mean you get everything you want. Same thing for the youngsters, guys. Just because you're young doesn't mean you get everything you want. But it is a point of just talking about what you, and just have clear communication with your partners and people that you have relationships with.
Are there certain love relationships that work well with a transactional structure? If so, what do you think those relationships are?
Interesting. So I would say, probably romantic, because that, I think, makes the most sense. Parent-kid relationships, I don't necessarily think work the best under that. I think they should be more unconditional in nature, because parents spend, the first 10 to 12 years of their kid's life really making them the kid that they are. So, they're probably giving more to them than the kid is giving back. I mean, cute smiles and farts don't really pay the bills, so they're not really it's not really supporting the household. So I would say probably, I would hope that parents could have more unconditional love to their kids, but I don't know, are they gonna love their kid if they don't listen to them and don't take out the trash and cuss them out and
good parents are
burn houses and steal cars?
Good parents
I don't have those parents. So my parents kept me on a very strict regimen, and not to say that if I deviated from the path they wouldn't love me, but I know that I wouldn't be welcomed with open arms.
Oh man.
Yeah, so I would say ultimately love relationships, probably friendships as well work well for this because, again, a friendship, like any other relationship,
Definitely.
you got to give and take. And so I think that works well for transactions. How about you?
Yeah, definitely the friendship and the children
Mm-hmm.
and with parents, that's definitely transactional.
Mm-hmm.
And I think another good one is between animals and pets because it's you feed the pet and then the pet lets you hold their furry little self. That's how it goes. It's like
AKA, he's talking about his cat, guys.
yeah, but same thing to dog. You can hold a 200-pound dog too. I mean, that's your friend.
Lurlies.
You can hold your Great Dane. It's okay. Your Mastiff. You know, they're fun. And then they can also intimidate strangers for you, and then you'll give them an even extra treat for that one.
That's exactly why I know you're not taking this seriously at all.
Why? Because I'm showing you one transactional love that's definitely very common throughout this planet.
Allows you to attack strangers.
That's the
benefit.
transaction. It's
That's
like
the transaction.
here goes your treat filled with peanut butter, and you go attack that stranger.
Amazing. Perpetrating violence.
No, but the stranger
Phenomenal.
that was trying to do something strange.
Exactly, just like that.
He agrees.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go, yo. Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario? Scenario 1. Kathy and Winston have been married for 40 years. For the last 5 years, though, Kathy feels Winston is not the same. He has not touched her in the last 8 months and is constantly criticizing her body. Kathy feels that they have been married so long that they must unconditionally love each other. Is Kathy's relationship based off of transactions? Or is Winston just a grumpy old fart?
Winston is cheating.
That's crazy.
Or is it though?
That's nuts.
You knew I was gonna say that too.
No, I didn't know you were going to say that. I had no clue. You just mind blown.
Exactly. Amazing, guys. So I would think after 40 years of marriage that yes, it would be nice to say that your husband will love you no matter what, but you have to know the person you're married to. And if he is someone who is superficial and is going to be judging you and you feel like you have to look a certain way for, you know, the duration of your marriage, no matter how old or tired or bloated you may feel, then you've got to decide if that is the relationship that you want for yourself. And if so, and you've put all this time and effort and blood, sweat, and tears into it, then, you know, Kathy, you better, you know, do what you need to do to turn things around. Either speak with a therapist, a sex therapist, bring in some toys into the bedroom, do what you need to do. But, you know, get things back on track because it sounds like her hubby here has an issue and they need to deal with it. And it would be a shame to throw away 40 years if they've been happy for the past 40 years.
Well, yeah, that's the real question, right?
Yeah.
Have they been happily married? That's the real question. Or is did this just like pop off 5 years ago? I mean, when did it really start?
Yeah.
It's hard to say. Usually there's some type of inkling in the beginning. There's not just like, oh, you turn around and this person's upset with you and acting funny. It doesn't happen that quick. It's like little things that build up. So I think it's more than Winston being a grumpy old fart. I think they definitely need some counseling and they got to get some stuff together.
AKA sex toys.
I don't know if that's the answer. But they have those like group parties that they can go to.
Excuse you.
Yeah, I don't know what Kathy's into.
And I don't know what you're into.
You mean Winston?
Yeah.
Winston? Why are you talking about Winston so poorly?
Yeah.
That's really messed up of you.
Doggy dog.
You doing Winston dirty. Scenario 2. Shola's small business has really taken off after years of hard work. She decides to surprise her wife with a gigantic mansion and a party to boot. When her wife finds out, she freaks out and drives off without telling Shola where she is going. Why was her wife so upset, and what could Shola have done differently?
You need to stop watching reality television, Khalil.
Wait, where does that come from? Why do you say that?
I feel like this is right out of a script from Young and Restless. Which he does not watch, but shout out to Marsha.
I should write for these things.
You should absolutely write for them. That would be amazing. You and your names, Shola. Yeah.
All right, don't play the names.
You love that part.
Can't believe you said that about your names.
I was stuck on Shola. I couldn't even listen to the rest of what you said. You throw me me off with that so many times. Not Alice or Jane. Nope, Shola.
Alice had been in this scenario before.
Thank
We've had
God.
Alice.
Thank God.
We may have had Jane. We might have had plain Jane.
I believe you've had... Jane is a lovely name.
We might have had plain Jane before.
Jane is lovely.
Jane Doe.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're trying to go for?
So again, we talked about surprises. I don't think surprises are great. I think they, sometimes they put people into cardiac arrest. I mean, you really just careful.
Even if you're getting surprised with the biggest house of your dreams.
Can you just send a picture first and just say look what I want to show you, and then that way at least they've seen some type of documentation. And then that'd be funny too, because what if you just take them to Burger King or something?
Yeah, see.
That's amazing.
So you can go out for fast food.
So, I think she should have probably told her, and if her wife was someone who is not going to react well to surprises, Shola should have known that. So, maybe this surprise, could have gone better, but if Shola's wife doesn't like surprises, then Shola's wife acted as to be expected, no? Exactly. The cat thinks so.
I don't know if she should have told her about the mansion. Maybe she could have gave her hints oh, we gotta move or something like that. If she dropped hints about it, maybe I think that would have been enough. So it wouldn't be such a shock. Whoa, this just came out of nowhere. I didn't even know you could buy this mansion. That was a little too much. Maybe if she dropped hints first that it was going down, and maybe let her choose where this mansion is, stuff like that.
True. And also designing it as well.
She has no input.
This came to mind a little bit later, but did they have a prenup? Because it's nice to show someone a mansion, but if they're not privy to it, if Shola dies, that's kind of ridiculous.
Why is that?
Well, if you have a prenup and anything, if you, depending upon how you designated out your property, because maybe Shola already had this mansion and was keeping it from her wife.
Oh, no, but...
I don't know.
No, in this case, not, because
she bought it during the duration of the marriage. Okay.
Well, yeah, because it was after her small business really took off. That's when she was able to afford this thing. So definitely, she didn't have it before. She bought it during the marriage, so...
But yeah, wouldn't you do you want someone to buy you... I know you want someone to buy you a house. But, do people want houses bought for them, or do they want to buy a home with their partner and design it? And I personally, I would be okay with someone buying me a house. That's, awesome, because you can always pay for its changes, but...
Yeah, you can always change a house.
Yeah.
I think it's fine.
It's a little bit controlling, though. It's interesting.
Definitely. Scenario 3. Valerie has been in thousands of short-term relationships. She says she really wants to find the one, but there's always some issue with the person. One got on her nerves because they would leave used tea bags on the counter. Is Valerie being too nitpicky? And is this transactional love she engages in affecting her relationships?
I wonder what Toby has to say about the matter.
Yeah, the input.
WokeNFree Nation, welcome to Kitty Cat Nation. Thousands of short-term relationships, really? Khalil, how old is Valerie? It's only 365 days a year.
Yeah, she has 3 different relationships
every day for 4 years.
No,
Valerie's a pimp.
She's been dating for 10 years.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Interesting. So first of all, tea bags on the counter do suck, and they leave stains, so that's not cool, and that costs money. Come on, man.
That person got to learn.
Yeah, I think that's not unreasonable to ask someone to throw out their trash. I mean, we don't live what are we, animals? I mean, we have to have some type of structure in our homes.
But if you can't love somebody for leaving tea bags, then you have no hope of ever unconditionally loving them in the hard times.
Well, that's true.
You think tea bags is hard.
But maybe she needs to be in a relationship with someone who equally has an affinity to want to put tea bags in the garbage. And that way, that's not going to be one of the things that they bicker about, but actually something of real substance, Roth IRAs, like things of actual substance. But I think what it seems like is Valerie's probably not dating for what she needs, but dating for what she wants. Maybe she's dating people who look hot or people who are satisfying surface level needs. But if you really want long-term longevity with someone, you have to go beyond the surface and like, what do I really need in a relationship, and finding those people, because you're not going to find thousands. You're going to find maybe 2 to 3, like real, like hardcore relationships with people. And at that point, maybe she has a chance of unconditional love. At this point, if she keeps up with what she's doing, yeah, she's just gonna get pissed off about her tea. Well, stop having tea in your house then. Like, I mean, really, like, that sucks if you're like a tea drinker. But
yeah, see, that doesn't work out.
I don't put a sign, maybe put a label maker.
You don't think
thing
she could let it go though if that person was perfect in every other way?
Would you let it go? You love a neat house like anybody I know.
Well, I'd make that person's got to figure out if they're not going to pick up the tea bags, they got to pay for somebody to do it.
Exactly.
That's what I say.
Exactly. You wouldn't tolerate that either.
I'm tolerating it. We just got to negotiate on the terms.
With quite the tone. I'm tolerating it.
Quite nicely, as I would say.
Quite nicely.
So, come on now. I'm being really nice about it.
Cheerio, chap.
Nope. I see somebody's taking this scenario seriously.
Not expecting that.
Okay. I'm trying to help out somebody's relationship here, and this is the advice you give them.
Don't give a flying hoot.
I'm really concerned for people who are going through this issue right now as we speak. You know this is happening. This is happening to somebody right this minute.
So send a prayer
somewhere.
And light a candle.
Tea bags are being left on a counter.
I thought you were about to say something totally different. I thought you were about to say people are being teabagged left and right.
I was waiting for you to mess up. I was waiting for you. I was waiting for it.
Now we're talking.
I was waiting for you to say something crazy.
Now we're talking, guys. Yeah.
I was waiting for that cray. That cray.
We are... That was amazing, guys. It is the coming of the end of our 66th episode of WokeNFree. Lord, this was quite the episode, talking about whether love can only be transactional or is there such a thing as unconditional love. And if you miss parts, you know what you got to do. You got to rewind and enjoy the fun as many times as you like. And I always ask, but, we'll see if change it up. Will I leave you hanging for what our next episode will be about? Drum roll, please.
On our next episode, we will be talking about whether anything is possible. Make sure you follow us on social media to follow along the conversation, and make sure you tune in next week for WokeNFree Wednesday to join the conversation at WokeNFree.com.
If you want to be a guest on our show, please submit a topic for an upcoming episode and share how you feel on our Contact Us page at WokeNFree.com. That is WokeNFree.com. We are also very active on social media, so if you ever have any questions or would love to engage with us, we post all the time. So please find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube at WokeNFree. All of our social media handles are available on the website, WokeNFree.com.
If you didn't already subscribe, please do. Share the episode. Make sure you come back to join the conversation every Wednesday for WokeNFree Wednesdays. Remember, WokeNFree is more than a podcast. It is a way of life. Until next time.